Hey digital world, how you going? Welcome back. It's once again time for Spliced In Later with your host, Jordan. I am bringing this episode to you on a Wednesday, not your usual Tuesday, not your usual Thursday. Why am I doing that? I got busy. It's a simple, poor excuse, but it's what I have. Managing my time sometimes gets a little ahead of me. I think I've got time to do this. I do not. I think I've got time to do other things. I do not. But I'm enjoying this. I hope you're enjoying listening to my new episodes that come out weekly, and I was determined that I would get something to you, so here I am, getting it to you. I hope it's good. I actually came up with this idea a few days ago, and I've been working on it for a couple of days. This is one of your, I gotta talk about something, what's on my DVD shelf, this thing. This is something that is, I think, going to be an interesting discussion. It's going to be the usual, I'll recommend every movie I talk about. It's going to be very positive. Not in the straightforward positive sense of the word. We're just going to be analyzing some films about why films might be considered good or might be considered not so good. In terms of the movie that is the title of this episode, that movie will be addressed in this discussion, but it's not going to be completely about that movie. You'll notice I'm saying that movie because at this point in time, I don't know which movie I will pick to be the title. There's a few that I'm going to discuss. Whichever one wins, congratulations. I assume the one that will be picked will be based on personal preference, whether the movie is relevant to things that are trending right now on YouTube or Spotify or anything like that. Or it could just be a flip of the coin. I got a coin right here. Maybe I'll flip it and we'll see which one wins. But whichever one did, we will be addressing it, but not just that one. I think we'll be addressing, who knows, maybe like 9 films this chat. It's going to be a few. But the content of today's episode is quite simply movies that are based or have inspiration from TV shows. Now, the reason I'm going into this discussion is it occurred to me quite recently. I've been doing this thing well before I started Spliced In Later. On my Instagram account, I put up a picture of a new movie every day, just to talk about whether it's good or not. Very brief description, a nice picture of the film, and then the hashtag Jordan's Movie Memories. That's right. Hashtag Jordan's Movie Memories. Brilliant, I know. Very imaginative. Fantastic stuff. But hey, I'm enjoying it, and I've been doing it for over a year and a half now. Why, you ask? Why not? Something extra on the side. Having changed my Instagram handle to Spliced In Later, if you would like to check these out, feel free to look me up. Again, the hashtag Jordan's Movie Memories. We've been going for about a year and a half. I believe I started the 28th of August 2018, I believe. So yeah, a year and a half. And we've posted movies on there that weren't even around when I started doing the hashtag. But very much like a beautiful mind, my mind will implode if I just put films up randomly. I will forget which ones I put up. In order to maintain a sense of order, I always do a different movie every day based on a genre. So Mondays it's old films, Tuesdays superhero films, Wednesdays animated films, the whole shebang. You might be able to work out my code looking at the hashtag. But on Sundays, we post movies that are based on TV shows. Now, as I said, I've been doing this for a year and a half, and I have not run out of movies based on TV shows to put in that Sunday slot, which is very interesting. So I've been looking deeper into these movies. I've been rewatching a lot of them. I personally enjoy a lot of them. In fact, I could say I could enjoy all of them. It's hard to say. But it's interesting to look online and see the reactions that other people have to these movies. Some very positive, some very negative. Some in the confused sense, some in an annoyed sense. So I thought, why not? Let's have a look at these movies based on TV shows. Let's see if there are any patterns, any distinctions, anything we can hammer home why reactions are certain ways for certain films. And I'm pretty sure I've got it hammered down to 3 types. There's probably more, but we're just going to talk about the 3 today. Personally, as a person who watches movies based on TV shows, I normally find them to be very successful because either they're a movie based on a TV show that I really enjoy or grew up on or something like that, so it's an extra tidbit for me. And other times, I've never seen the TV show at all, so the movie either entertains me just as a movie on its own, or it introduces me to the world of that TV show to the point where I go in and check out the rest of that stuff. Not often will a movie based on a TV show disappoint me. unless the TV show has become a bit dated by today's standards. For example, Baywatch. Baywatch, I'm not a huge fan of, not only for, I believe the comedy is a bit stale and things just aren't clicking with the chemistry between Jane Johnson and Zac Efron, but overall, Baywatch, the idea of watching scantily clad ladies run slowly on the beach watching their jiggle is not something really that's resonates with me in today's society. I can appreciate that people who watch Baywatch would enjoy it, but for me personally, not a fan. That's all we're really going to talk about with Baywatch, but I just want to get that out there originally so you do understand that there are some movies that I don't love. There are movies that can disappoint me, especially in this type of genre and type of any genre that I've talked about before. Baywatch, that's the one you can go back to. If you ever think this guy's being fake, just remember Baywatch. Okay, and we're moving on. So, we'll talk about our 3 categories. As I mentioned each movie, maybe you've seen them, maybe you haven't. Have a think about whether you enjoyed them, whether you didn't. If the reasons for why, maybe I'll address why you didn't enjoy them. Maybe I'll address why you enjoyed them more than others. It's going to be a whole thing, and we'll see how we go. At the end of this discussion, if I've offended anyone in any way, if I've left out certain examples of movies to TV shows, if you think there's more reasonings that I haven't addressed, feel free to leave a comment on YouTube to let me know one way or another. It's always nice to hear feedback from people who have taken the topics that I am talking about and run with them and have their own thoughts and opinions. Because not only does it really make me feel, okay, I'm not just sitting in a room recording to literally no one, the idea that people are listening and having a think and coming back to me with their opinions delights me no end. So thank you to all the people that have, and hopefully we can do it again with this episode. Now, our first category for movies to TV shows and issues and things like that are movies that are direct continuations of a TV show. Now, for our main example for this one, we'll probably touch on a few other examples, but our main example for this category is Serenity. Serenity is a movie that is based on the TV show Firefly. Now, if you aren't familiar with Firefly, that's okay. People either love it to death and worship the very ground they walk on, or they've just never heard of it at all. There doesn't seem to be anywhere in between. I hadn't heard of Firefly, now I love Firefly. Firefly was a TV show created by Joss Whedon, who you would probably know from Avengers fame, that was never really given a chance to live. It is a very cool concept of, essentially, cowboys in space, or a western in space. Spaceship, motley crew, cool captain, odd assortment of individuals, evil empire-like government that they're sticking it to, cuckoo aliens, standoffs on planets that almost seem like the Wild West. Really great concept with great characters and a great idea. Unfortunately, Firefly was dead on arrival. Not only was its episodes broadcasted out of order, but it was cancelled before it even got a chance to really go anywhere or do anything. Firefly basically existed for 2 months originally. Now in today's standard, now we've got DVDs, now we've got streaming services, Firefly can live on. But of course, with the abrupt ending to Firefly, obviously fans wanted something more. And while we may never get a Firefly revival, we were blessed in 2005 with the movie Serenity, which is just directed by Joss Whedon, and it was a continuation. Some might even say a conclusion to the story. It's hard to say, it's depending on your opinion of it. Now, I love Serenity. I am a huge Firefly fan, so watching Serenity was a huge enjoyment for me. It was really exciting to see all the characters basically pick up where we left off, to see them go on one last adventure together. All the humor was there, all the mannerisms of the previous Firefly, and a lot of the mysteries and questions that had been left unanswered on the TV show, answered in Serenity. But looking at Serenity logically, I believe that it is a very different experience to someone who watches Serenity who hasn't seen Firefly. Now, I'm not saying they won't enjoy Serenity. I'm saying they lose a lot of the impact that you have having the previous Firefly knowledge. For instance, there's a character in Firefly and Serenity called Wash, played by Alan Tudyk. Everybody loves Wash. I love Wash. Wash is the pilot of the ship. He's kooky, he's odd, he's comic relief, but he's absolutely lovable. He is great to watch. Alan Tudyk gives a great performance, and seeing him in Serenity was even more enjoyable. Great stuff. Wash, 10 out of 10. I have a friend who watched Serenity before they watched Firefly, And I will tell you right now, they did not care for Wash at all. They found him to be annoying, irrelevant, stupid. The things that Wash got up to in the movie, they just did not care for, and overall wanted less of him in the movie. Now, I believe that's only because if you do go into Serenity without any knowledge of Firefly, Wash comes across as this arrogant weirdo who thinks he's funny, but isn't. And I imagine a lot of his jokes probably wouldn't land because you need the context of Firefly to appreciate Wash's performance. However, I don't know. I can never watch Serenity without having watched Firefly because it's impossible to go back in time. But not just Wash. If you watch Serenity and you haven't seen Firefly, I believe you will be confused and you will not have the emotional investment that these characters have already built in Firefly. Now, that's not necessarily the film's fault. As I'm saying, this isn't a critique on whether a film is good or bad or not. It's just saying it's amazing with these types of films how you can have such very different reactions based on whether you essentially do homework before you see the movie. If you're walking along and you decide, time to watch a movie, and you pop on Serenity and you have no idea what it's about at all, you might enjoy it. But things will go over your head. Things will confuse you. You won't quite understand what the point of the story is. Whereas you watch Firefly, you understand every little reference they give, every Easter egg, every callback, every mannerism that each character has presented in the previous show. Whether that results to a bad box office result, it depends. It really, once you see the movie, you see the movie. They've taken your ticket money. That's done. But Serenity is also very vague if you look at a poster without knowing about Firefly. The poster for Serenity is a very dark, shadowy shot. I'm not sure if it's the poster that I'll have on this YouTube vid. It may end up being something different. But the one that I can see in front of me on my DVD has a very dark shadow of a woman with a sword, and then Nathan Fillion standing in the background looking serious. Serenity, which is the ship that these intrepid explorers fly on, isn't even on the cover. You don't know that this is even a reference to Firefly unless you read an entire blurb, and right at the bottom it says, "From the creators of Firefly." That doesn't even say that this is a continuation of Firefly. It's just that Joss Whedon created both. So it's that sort of things, where an experience can be absolutely heightened or diminished or construed a completely different way depending on your knowledge of a TV show before you watch a movie. Also, very briefly, El Camino, a Breaking Bad movie, which is available on Netflix, which is an epilogue of sorts to the Breaking Bad story for certain character Jesse Pinkman. El Camino is a fantastic movie, up to the standards of Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul and everything from that world, from Vince Gilligan. There's a great ending to Jesse's story. It's great to see all these characters come back. That dialogue, that tension, that Breaking Bad made famous, top notch. However, I don't know what it would be like for somebody to pop on El Camino who has never heard of Breaking Bad and doesn't know what Breaking Bad is about. I believe they'd still enjoy it. I reckon it would be an entertaining movie about this fugitive character and he's on the run and why he's on the run and what's going on there. But all the characters that come in from the TV show that come by essentially cameos, or depending on how they help Jesse, might be a bigger instance in the role. If you're familiar with Breaking Bad, you get a sense of delight, of joy. You see him go to places that you've seen before. You've seen him interact with a situation that has occurred to him before, which is built on his character growth from what he's had in Breaking Bad. I believe is what elevates me to give the film a 10 out of 10. If I see the movie and I don't know any of this beforehand, it's hard to say. Would I give it the same high mark, or would I think, yeah, it's an entertaining fugitive movie? I don't know who all these people are. Apparently they're important, but they are detracting from where this story is actually going. Where is this story actually going? Why is he in this situation? You wouldn't know unless you watch Breaking Bad. So yeah, that's our first category. That's what we're thinking about right now, is movies, direct continuation of TV series. Our second category is a movie based on a TV show that either takes very little of the concept that they're adapting, or they change it and do something completely different. Again, with mixed results. Our main example we're doing here is Mission Impossible. I love the Mission Impossible movies. I think they're great. Tom Cruise is great as Ethan Hunt. The movies just get better and better with each installment that they've done. Adding Simon Pegg was a tremendous idea. Upping the action, upping the stunts, Tom Cruise doing his own stunts. Amazing stuff. It was only before the fifth one, Rogue Nation, came out that I even learned that Mission Impossible was actually based on an old TV show. Crazy, I know. At this point in this age, you probably would be aware of that, with the Mission Impossible theme alone being enough to tell you. But Mission Impossible was a TV show that ran for a while. Now, here's the thing I didn't know. And we're going to go into some light spoilers here for the original Mission Impossible. If you don't want to be spoiled for a movie that came out nearly 30 years ago, feel free to mute me, turn me off, whatever. Mission Impossible, the TV series, starred a character called Jim Phelps. He was our main character, and he led his IMF team on all their missions to save the day. In the original movie Mission Impossible, Tom Cruise doesn't play Jim Phelps. He plays a completely new character who's never been in the TV show called Ethan Hunt. Jim Phelps is in the movie. Phelps is his boss. And as the movie goes along and from a course of events, you realize that Jim Phelps, spoiler alert, is ending up as the bad guy of the film. He's doing his own thing. He's turned against the IMF. He's gone rogue, and it's up to Ethan Hunt to bring him down. I won't say why he goes rogue. I don't say what happens to him. Leave a few spoilers after spoiling so much. But yes, huge change. And then from that point on, Mission Impossible 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, nothing from the show is actually in any of the movies. The first one is the only one to have that. Now for me, doesn't matter. I enjoyed Mission Impossible. Knowing that Jim Phelps was in the TV show and was a good guy is interesting to know. Doesn't affect my opinion of the movie. For fans of the Mission Impossible TV show, I can absolutely understand a sense of outrage and betrayal to then go to a movie and see your character, your hero, just utterly betrayed, to be turned into a villain and discarded for this young, brand new person you've never heard of. I read reviews of the original Mission Impossible back when it came out, and there was a negative response from people who had seen the old Mission Impossible, specifically to what they did to Jim Phelps' character. Now it's interesting because this may have been a risky maneuver on the part of the people who made the film. Maybe they were trying to keep things fresh, maybe they were trying to spice it up so you couldn't predict exactly what was going to happen. It is a risky move when you take a product that people are very familiar with and flip it and change it. You may lose all the fans that have come through, and if you don't win any new fans going in, you've essentially ruined a franchise. Well, not ruined a franchise, no chance for a franchise to start. In this case, I believe they were very lucky that moving on from that point, Mission Impossible, the movies, just became its own thing. But that original anger is interesting and completely understandable. In another example, quite so not so negatively though, 21 Jump Street. 21 Jump Street came out in 2011 maybe, starring Channing Tatum and Jonah Hill, playing Officers Schmidt and Jenko, who are part of a program at Jump Street where they are young enough to infiltrate a high school, pretending to be high school students, to find drug dealers. Now, there's very little of the TV show that's actually in the movie. Jenko and Schmidt, again, completely original characters. The original characters from 21 Jump Street are not main characters. They are not linked to these characters in any sort of way that's particularly relevant to the film. The only concept that really exists from the TV show that they've adapted into the movie is the idea of Jump Street as the base of operations. 21 Jump Street is where the police officers go to regroup and then go back and do their policing. On the opposite side, 21 Jump Street was very positively received to the point where they made a sequel, 22 Jump Street, which I think may be one of the best comedy sequels of all time. I'll definitely talk about that further in a future episode. Now, looking into 21 Jump Street reactions from fans of the original 21 Jump Street, it's very hard to find. I can't see anything where people are upset that their favorite characters aren't in the movie. There are characters from the TV series that do appear in the movie, and in many ways I could argue that they are treated with the same sort of casual disregard as fans of Mission Impossible might accuse the Jim Phelps portrayal to be. But very minuscule if it actually exists. I still can't find it. In the end, people just enjoyed the comedy. 21 Jump Street became its own thing, much like Mission Impossible did. So it's interesting to see how the responses to these movies can vary so drastically depending on the response from fans. Something that infuriates Mission Impossible fans doesn't even register in 21 Jump Street fans. Finally, our third topic, which I think is the best part of the three, is a movie based on a TV series that does its own thing, still respects the TV show, and also allows newcomers to enter that world and not be confused. That's a lot of parameters for one topic, but it is the sweet spot. It is the point where a movie based on a TV series is successful in all realms. They've appeased the fans of the people who are watching because they watch the TV series. They've appeased new fans who are just interested to see what the movie's about. They haven't confused them or disorientated them. And in some cases, they've inspired people to look further into this world that they knew nothing about, and then they fall down the rabbit hole of the TV series. We'll have two examples here. A lesser known example, The Man from U.N.C.L.E. I've mentioned The Man from U.N.C.L.E. before in our Guy Ritchie topic, talking about The Gentleman. And I recently rewatched The Man from U.N.C.L.E., so I knew what I was talking about before I made this episode. The Man from U.N.C.L.E. takes the characters that are from the Man from U.N.C.L.E. TV series, Napoleon Solo and Ilya Kuryakin, I hope I said that name right, an American agent and a KGB agent forced to work together to accomplish a goal. Other characters from U.N.C.L.E. do appear. Hugh Grant plays Waverly, who was also in the show. However, essentially, the movie takes the characters and then does its own thing with them. You realize watching the movie that the U.N.C.L.E. organization doesn't actually come up at all during the movie. It's only till later on that you start to realize what they're actually doing with the movie. But you are enjoying the movie so much that you don't really realize what is this U.N.C.L.E. that this movie's about, what's going on, what's this organization, because you are enjoying the exploits of Solo and Kuryakin. You're enjoying the shots that Guy Ritchie has taken. He takes his stamp on the movie in a confident way that he hasn't done with other movies like King Arthur, Legend of the Sword, or Aladdin. And at the end you get the treat of realizing, oh, okay, that makes sense. That's the TV series that this is based on. That was entertaining enough. I would like to see how this story progressed in the past. I'll go and watch the TV series. The Man for U.N.C.L.E. is a fantastic movie that I enjoyed watching for sure, definitely on repeat. I'm intrigued enough to go and see and watch the TV series. I haven't done it yet. I'm in no rush to. I don't think I need to, because I understand everything that's going on in The Man from U.N.C.L.E. They explained it perfectly to me. I knew who the characters were. I knew what the U.N.C.L.E. organization was. I knew what the purpose of the film was. I can watch the film again and again and never once think, am I missing something? Odds are I probably am. There are probably little Easter eggs to The Man from U.N.C.L.E. that I'm missing, but they're not glaringly obvious that I know that I should be getting something that I'm not getting. Our most specific example for this topic, the 2009 Star Trek, in my opinion, is the perfect example of this. That is because I didn't watch any Star Trek at all in 2009. I was aware of Star Trek. I knew that it was a show that existed, and I knew that Leonard Nimoy and Patrick Stewart and a few actors had been on the show. I couldn't tell you what the point of Star Trek was. I couldn't tell you anything about Klingons, Vulcans, Starfleet, the Enterprise, anything like that. What happened was I was watching a movie and the Star Trek trailer played before that. The trailer was intriguing and interesting. I immediately got the point of the movie and who these characters were, and it looked entertaining enough that I wanted to see it. So I went and saw it by myself because for some reason nobody wanted to see Star Trek, and I had a fantastic time at the movies. I immediately fell in love with the characters of Kirk and Spock, Bones, Scotty, the crew. I immediately understood what the Federation was, what the ships were, how the Starfleet ranking worked, who the enemies were, who the aliens were. Exciting, action-packed, emotional, great film. And when the credits were rolling, I wanted to watch it again. But more importantly, I wanted to see more of Star Trek, which eventually steamrolled into an unfortunate 28 seasons that I watched back to back of all the different Star Treks, of all the different movies that they'd done as well. I believe there were 10 movies before the 2009 Star Trek. And I enjoyed them. Turns out I love Star Trek. Who knew, right? Who would have thought the guy who's obsessed with movies and TV shows would love one of the most popular TV shows of all time? Mind-boggling. But I was able to go back and watch those TV shows, appreciate the bond that I had formed with Kirk and Spock and Bones from the 2009 movie. And as I continued on in the TV series, I started to realize, oh, that was a reference to something that I saw in the movie. I didn't know that that was something I missed, but now I can go back and watch it and enjoy it even more. Of all the Star Trek movies, the 2009 one is absolutely nearly number one for me. It is so good, and it's special in my heart because of what it did for me. A movie based on a TV show that can take a complete unknown person like me who'd never been in the Star Trek world, and within the space of 2 months make him, I wouldn't say a hardcore Star Trekkie, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I appreciate it. I've got knowledge that I just didn't have room in my brain for. I had to push out a lot of maths and science to get the Star Trek knowledge in there. But that's only because of this movie. If this movie hadn't achieved its goal of entertaining a non-Star Trek fan like me to a point where I become a Star Trek fan, you have achieved your goals. Top-notch Star Trek. Well done. So, those are our 3 topics. A movie that's a direct continuation of a TV show. Is it good for all parties, or is it just for the people who appreciated the TV show? Who can say? Movies that take a TV show concept and do something completely different with it, whether it's make the characters into something completely different, a la Mission Impossible, or take brand new characters and put them in the same sort of situation but do their own thing, a la 21 Jump Street. Do you anger the fans, Mission Impossible style, or do you entertain them, 21 Jump Street? And then we have our movies that are based on TV shows that just achieve the impossible, to entertain the fans, to entertain brand new people, and to make a solid movie overall that doesn't require you to have knowledge of TV shows, still appreciate the film. If you have knowledge of the TV series, you appreciate the film. So have a think. We'll wrap it up there as we're going in. As I said, this wasn't a complete discussion on one film, but several films. I hope I didn't go on too many tangents. Maybe I did. There was a lot to unpack. If I repeated myself a few times, whoops. But it was a big, broad concept that we were unpacking here, and I hope a lot of you are thinking. I hope you're wondering, how many movies have I seen that are actually TV shows? I can guarantee you there's probably a movie you've watched you have no idea is based on a TV show. I didn't know The Untouchables was based on a TV show. I loved The Untouchables. Who knew it was a TV show? Not me, that's for sure. So have a think. What films are there that you've seen that could possibly be TV shows? Do you agree with me? Feel free to let me know, as I said. I hope I have entertained you. I hope I've given you a lot to think about. This has been a very fun discussion. I've enjoyed unpacking TV show movies for us all, and I hope you've enjoyed listening to me. I will be back next week. Maybe I'll be back on my regular time, Tuesday. Honestly, who can say? But I'll bring something for you, new content, something brand new to talk about, and hopefully it'll be as entertaining as the previous 28 episodes. But until then, I love and appreciate you as always. You've been spliced in later. Adios, muchachos. I'll catch you next time.